Okay, what's happening, people? Jono here from Fitness Education Online. Welcome to our channel if it's your first time on here. And it's actually a specific series. If you've landed on this video here, I've got a specific series which is all about social media marketing tips for fitness professionals. What I've done is I've gone and sought out the 10 best social media marketing professionals, specifically for fitness professionals in the world, and they're going to give you their top 3 tips in less than 10 minutes. Now, I'm going to shoot over and give them a bit of an introduction in a second. Just before I do that, let me tell you that we've also got another series which is business tips in general. So this one here is all social media marketing. We've got another one which is business based. Now, I've interviewed the same people on both of them because they're very closely related, obviously. So it's the same introduction for both. So if you get to the introduction, you're like, well, hold on, haven't I heard this exact same introduction before? Yes, it has. I've just used the same introduction. You could call it, I don't know whether it's lazy on my behalf or it's just smart or time efficient on my behalf. I like to call it smart and time efficient. You can call it what you want. But anyway, let me introduce this week's guest. What's happening, people? Jono here from Fitness Education Online. Super excited for this week's episode on how to get more clients for your personal training business. We've got a good friend on the line this week here, and he actually lives literally down the road from me. He owns 2 fitness studios, and both of them are literally like a 5-minute drive from my place here. So not only is he good at what he does, but he lives close to me. So if his video sucks, I can actually, tell him face to face. So yeah, you're in for a good one. Just before we get into it, usual deal, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit subscribe and join our community Facebook group. We've got the largest Facebook group in the world for fitness professionals. Everyone's super supportive. We all share tips and ideas. We've got a strong no dickheads policy. So if anyone's a dickhead in there and they, abuse you or bully you or whatever, we kick them out. And I've got rid of like 99% of them. So it's a really supportive environment. So feel free to join, link down in the description. Anyway, let's hear it from Dave.
Awesome. My number one tip for sales is not so much practical, but more about the mindset behind sales, because you can have the best strategies in the world and the best script and say the right words, but if what your story about sales isn't quite helping you, not serving you, it can actually stop when you have the right strategy. And we see this in fitness all the time. We know people who have the right diet and the right training, but they don't have the right mental approach to it, the right mindset. And so everything's there that they should be following to get results, and they don't get results. I think the same goes for something like sales in fitness and personal training. And so what's the mindset that I think is the most empowering and beneficial for sales? Big picture wise, it's realizing that sales is helping people and that you have an obligation to help these people improve their life. Here's the thing. If you're talking to anyone about signing up for personal training, group training, a gym, a boot camp, a health program, nutrition, whatever it is, they've got a problem. They're only talking to you because they've got an itch and they want it to be scratched. They've got some problem that needs to be solved. And when you realize that all you're really doing is having a conversation with someone to help flush out that problem and to help show them where they've probably been going wrong, show them how you can provide that gap and be the bridge from where they are now to where they want to be. And that when they give you any objections or things come up, that's the thing that has been holding them back this whole time. And it's your job to help overcome that. And we really need to detach any sense of, pressure or guilt about, in a healthy way, pushing people through that. And we have to realize that it's serving them. And to a certain degree, we can't really help someone that much until they make a decision to work with us. There's all these social media accounts, there's YouTube, there's Google, like there is enough free information out there that anyone could get in any shape they want to be in. They could lose weight and get fit. The info's out there, but because people haven't actually committed to that information by way of investing money or investing time or booking appointments, they don't do anything with that information, so they don't get any results. And so we have to realize that when we're having this conversation with people about potentially joining, this is the necessary step for them to actually see results. If they talk to you for 30 minutes and you're like, well, good luck with it all, nothing is going to change. And so the mindset we need to take into it is, one, they need help. That's why we're talking to them. If they were 100% happy that their fitness and their body is where it was, they probably wouldn't be having this conversation with you. Like, you don't take your car to the mechanic when it's working fine, right? You just drive it around. So if they're talking to you, there's something wrong, number one. So don't feel this like, oh, I'm trying to push them. You're generally trying to help them. Number two, you need to help them get out of their own way. And that's really what we're doing. Okay, this person has a problem. They want to solve it. And most people have a rough idea. They should be exercising more, eating better, sleeping more. They know a little bit about it. but we're like going to help them get out of their way, and just seeing those stories and those objections for what they are. And thirdly, then realizing again, until they invest in you, you can't actually, like, nothing's going to help them until they make a decision, and they've got to decide with an action. A decision is not just like, yeah, I'm going to do this. A decision is, here's something I'm doing. Decision comes from the Latin word for incision, to mean to cut off. So to make a decision is to cut off your other options. We need them to cut off their other options. Once they're paying you and they're booked in for you Monday morning, it's done. And so like that is really our job here. And when you see it as that, in that light, it takes the weight off your shoulders of like, oh my God, I've got to sell someone. Because I used to get so anxious and nervous before I used to do sales with people, because I was like, oh, okay, I've got to, say the right things. I really want to make this sale. But what if I do the wrong thing? And when I started realizing, look, I'm just here to help people. I'm here to, again, help them get their own way. They've got a problem. That's why they're here. It took the pressure off and allowed me just to have the conversation human to human, and then go, I can help this person. And once you take the pressure off, then you can go through the script and go through what you need to say and say that, and all of that stuff is so much easier when you're not weighed down by this, like, oh, I hate this part of my business. I just want to train the clients. I don't want to do this part. If you're in business, then it's like saying, I want to train well, but I don't want to eat healthy. Is that okay? It's like, no, you can't need to do both. It's like, yeah, you've got to be a great trainer. You want to know how to do fun workouts. You want to connect with your clients. You want to do all that. This is the other part of it if you're in business. But look at it the right way, because I really enjoy this part of my businesses because I look at it in that light. I see it as helping people, and it's a really, when you do it right, people thank you at the end. That should actually be your goal. Most people finish my sales consultations, we're going to call it. They finish it feeling excited. They finish it feeling empowered. They feel a little bit educated, probably, because we might have had a bit of a chat about where they've gone wrong. And they almost want to say thank you. And I'm like, they're out to pay me, right? And they're like, thank you. So second sales tip is that big picture when it comes to selling stuff is sales is a transference of your conviction and certainty in what it is you're talking about. And the reason I start with that is most of the problems I think that come up in a sales conversation where someone says no, and that you get to the end, they give you these awkward objections, right? Oh, I need to think about it, talk to my partner, I need to check the budget, I need to check the schedule, I need to ask my religious deity, I need to meditate on it, I need to see if the moon is in the right position, or I need to check my zodiac. Like, we get the most ridiculous objections, and we can really actually filter almost all of it down into, they are not that certain and convicted that this is the decision they should be making. Because if they were, let's say their partner was the absolute biggest stinge in the world and hated them spending money. If they were that convicted and certain, they will still just make the decision for themselves. We're rarely asking for $20,000 here when we're selling fitness. If you're the highest ticket PT out there, 5 to 10,000 is probably the maximum you'd ever do. I guarantee you, if that same person, this mum, wife, who had a very stingy partner, was in hospital and her son had just had a heart attack, and the doctor said, we need to operate right now. By the way, it's $15,000, but we need to do it, and I'm certain without this he dies, they would say, do it. And I'm not trying to downplay, the severity of something like that. Obviously, that would be a chaos. And I'm not comparing someone dying to fitness necessarily, but just the takeaway is that when there's enough certainty that someone must do something, they typically don't bother asking for other people's opinions, because the opinion wouldn't change it. They were that certain. The partner saying, oh, I don't know if we can afford, $100 a week. They're sort of going, well, I can't afford not to do this. And so when we think of it like that, we can really break this down. This is something I borrowed from Jordan Belfort, of all people, the man who did Wolf of Wall Street, for those who like, snorting cocaine and hookers and all that, if you're into it. He talks about there's three things you need to get them to a 10 out of 10 on certainty on before you make a sale. And so I think these are very relevant. Big picture one is they need to be certain the product is right for them. So they firstly just need to go, okay, whatever this person's doing is actually right for me. Cool. So that's just really talking about, is the training, and like, how's the training work, the nutrition, the accountability, like, is this product going to solve my problem? Typically, it's not that difficult to get people to think that. Once you kind of dive into what they tried before, why it's failed, you can generally make them go, right, this person's accountability is what I've been missing. This person has groups that suit me, and that's what I really need. Okay, this product will work for me. That's actually the big one. The second one he talks about is they must have certainty in the person. So they must actually feel like, I like you. Must feel like you have got my best interest in mind. You're not just talking the talk. And that, for me, really is achieved by empathizing with people, to achieve by sharing a bit about yourself. So they just feel like, okay, this person gets me. I like to share my story. I was overweight as a kid. The gym changed my life. I had a trainer. Without the trainer, I don't think I ever would have done it. And I would have still been this chubby kid who hid at the back and didn't want to take his shirt off at the beach. When I share that, they feel this connection and they're like, I can actually, this guy's got my best interests in mind. And so that's the second one. Jordan Belfort talks about a third one, which is I must trust the company as a whole. Now, if you're working for some big company, then this probably is relevant. But if you're just selling yourself, you're kind of the company as well. But it's just another one to remember that sometimes people have doubts in different things. So maybe you are working for a big gym. You might want to just talk about how this gym has been around for 15 years and we have 2,000 members and it's such a good space and you're going to love it and we're going to look after you. People just want that certainty and like anything behind the scenes in the sales. And so that's kind of like more granular than just be certain. But again, big picture wise, the biggest reason someone goes, I need to think about it, is because they're not that certain of the decision. Now, I look at when I'm trying to build certainty in the conversation as like, as much as I'm certain about all those things, I also want to be certain they don't have any other options. What I mean by that is I ask the questions to help them see where have they failed. And because they failed in those options, that's not another option for them. So if I ask Susan, tell me about the last time you tried to lose weight. She says, I went to Fitness First up the road and, I had the gym there and I went on the treadmill a bit, but I didn't stick to it. I'll help her come to this realization that there was no accountability provided. If she didn't show up to Fitness First on Monday morning, no one gave a shit. There was no consequences. There was no one encouraging her when she did show up. She was all on her own. And that honestly, 90% of people don't get the results because of that. And so if she doesn't get the accountability, I would imagine that's just going to repeat itself. And when you get her to realize that, now what you've done is not this certain, like when you ask for the sale at the end, she goes, well, yeah, it's $70 a week, which is more than what I pay Fitness First. But Fitness First isn't even an option because we've already established that doesn't work. And so I look at that as how I'm looking at certainty that like, this is their only option. So when you're having conversations in sales, for me, the questions you ask are far more important than the things that you say. The questions you ask are really the key. I mean, I remember when I first started out as a PT and in sales, quote unquote, I just learned a couple of key questions that I memorized. And I really used them as the bulk of the conversation. And I knew if I could just get to these couple of questions, that generally the right information would come out of the other person and I could then lead that to where we wanted to take it. And so it's just easier to think of a couple of questions. If you're asking questions and you're talking for 25% of the time, they're talking on 75%, you're exactly where you want to be. Because really what we're doing in the questions is, we're getting them to talk about the things that we want them to verbalize. It's one thing for someone to have a pain or a problem. It's another thing for them to verbalize it. Because now as a human, we don't like going back on our word. So once you've made them say, oh, I've been struggling for months, I've been thinking about this for a year getting fit, they'd feel really stupid at the end saying, well, I need to think about it, right? So we want to ask the questions, we want them to actually verbalize what's going on. And so having the key questions, it just makes life easier when you have this conversation. If you just, it's like if I was traveling from Sydney to Perth and I had a couple of cities mapped out, I need to hit on the way to know I'm going to Perth. I think of these core questions like, all right, this is my path. As long as I get to these questions, I'm probably going to take them through where I need them to go. So key questions to me are always like big picture, why are you here? What have you tried in the past? Like what has failed, right? Because they've probably tried something before. So I love to ask questions about what have you tried before? Why did it fail? Why do you think that is? I look at I do it with a curious tonality, very curious. I'm just trying to discover what their problem is and I'm going to help discover the solution with them. Because if you say that like you already know the answer, like, you probably, let me guess, you tried going on the gym, didn't work, did it? Like you can kind of ask the same question, but if you come across like you're the smart ass who knows everything, breaks rapport. So we're curious. What have you tried in the past? Okay, gotcha. So what would success look like to you in the next 90 days? If I had a magic wand, I could just ding it and everything happened that you'd love. What would that look like in 90 days, right? I'm curious. I want to know, where do you want to be? And they feel understood by that. Or you can say a funny one for always I like to do is if we were toasting with a glass of champagne in 3 months and we were celebrating, what would we be celebrating? It kind of comes with this implication, like we're going to get the result, right? But like, what result would you want? I can get you any result. So we want to know, like, what have they tried? What's that result they want? What do they feel like they need most right now? If that's going to happen, what are probably the things you need? Okay, cool. You want to ask like fitness specifically, you got to figure out their schedule. You do not want them at the end telling you schedule's a problem. So I always ask the question, and I don't say, can you work out? I say, so what's better for you working out? Are you better in the mornings or afternoons? It's not yes or no, it's yes or yes. It's like, there's no way you're going to tell me you can't fit this in. That's bullshit. Because everyone has time to fit in exercise. I don't want to hear it. So it's like, can you do mornings or afternoons? Oh, mornings, fantastic. I sell group training personally at my studios. So we've got set times in the morning, and I'll see how those times align with them, and boom. So these are just the key questions. When you have them, it just gives you this nice, simple roadmap you're following as you're going through this conversation. The information's coming out, and yeah, you're going to have to talk a bit about it and da-da-da. But the questions for me are the bedrock that just keep us flowing and get the bulk of what I need out. And again, a lot of people will sell themselves with the right question. So if you're new to it and you're still finding your feet, just get the questions really clear and you'll make it so much easier. If we back up from the questions, I think when it comes to what you answer and how you ask them, what we're really trying to achieve is a feeling of empathy from them. Like they want them to feel like we understand them. And really that's our job here. Okay, when people feel understood and they feel empathized with by the trainer, they're ready. They almost want to give you money. It's almost like you've added value in a weird way, because you just feel heard. And when I go into sales, a lot of the time when I ask these questions and they give me an answer, I just help them feel like understood. So when I say, what have you tried in the past? And they say, well, I went to fitness first. I didn't stick to it, da, da, da. I just go, I've heard that so many times. I've been doing this for about 5 years now. And I've heard that one so many times. So you're not alone, because it's hard to motivate yourself, right? You've got all the other things going on in life. And now you got to go to a gym, figure out your workout, motivate yourself. Someone's on the treadmill you wanted, or someone's on the chest press machine that was on your program. Now you're like, what do I do instead? It's difficult, right? And so you're not alone. So I totally get where you're coming from, but it sounds like it's been long enough to finally figure out something that works, right? And they're like, oh yeah. So they feel understood. And if I give any tip in terms of these questions and like your answers, help people feel like they're accepted, they're understood, and you get it. And it gives you permission, once they feel understood, to then start already assuming the sale in the next step. And I say, well, it sounds like it's about time we work through that. And they're like, yeah, right, it is. But they only agree to that because they feel like you actually get where they're at.
All right, you can tell that guy's a switched on individual, right? Anyways, if you want to follow Dave, which I recommend you do, Dave, where do we go to hear more about you?
Yeah, if you want to hear more about me, just follow me on social media, where I share a lot about what I'm doing in my own businesses. So you can just find David Mifsud on social media. I think my Instagram's like Dave Mifsud, because it was my high school jersey name, and it's hilarious. And I am in fact a stud. And I share about what I'm doing. So I got 2 gyms as of recording this, and I share a little bit about what's going on in those gyms. So I think one of the best ways to learn is to see other people doing things. So come and follow me, and you can see what I'm up to and watch it live in action. If you want to follow my gyms, there's the Body Shapers and there's Day One Training. They are the 2 studios that I own. And again, you can see what we're doing, and you can stalk us and look at our marketing and our processes and all that stuff. So yeah, come follow me on social media, and you can learn from it happening in action.
So that's it for today's episode. I would love to invite you into the Fitness Education Online Community Facebook group if you're not in there already. It's a free Facebook group. There's thousands of trainers in there. We all share tips and ideas. Everyone's super supportive. And that's really what we do at Fitness Education Online. So I'll see you in there.